So good morning everybody and welcome back to another film. This film is not exactly as I'd intended it this morning, and no one likes a whiny YouTuber, certainly not me, but I'm going to fill you in on what's happened today, and if he comes across as being a bit whiny, I apologise, it's not intended to be that way. So last night my plans were to go up north and head to North Lancashire to a woodland that was ancient in character, and it was set on limestone pavement, and that woodland looked really exciting, and it was something I was going to go and scout with a view to coming back to in the future. Now when I got to the motorway this morning at Bamber Bridge, which is the junction I get on at, in big orange letters above the motorway was "Motorway closed at Lancaster." Now for me that's a deal breaker, because in order for me to get to where I wanted to, it would mean having to drive through Lancaster city centre, and if the motorway is shut, the chances are that's going to be an awful place to be. So with that in mind, I just set off driving in the direction of the Lancashire moors, and I've come to where I am today, which is a woodland on the side of a reservoir. I think it's Edgeworth Reservoir. I'll put a text file just here just to confirm that. It's predominantly coniferous pine woods. Now they are never really that rich in terms of photography. Occasionally you get the occasional nice broadleaf tree set amongst them that's been left during the forestry operations, and they can be quite nice and attractive. I might find something like that if I'm lucky. But the reservoir footpath that goes around the edge of the reservoir, for all intents and purposes, is flooded for the most part. Now Storm Dennis came through here just last night, and people are struggling to get around the edge of the reservoir, so I've come up into the woodland hoping to find something. So my plans have been dashed. This is the card I've been dealt with, so it's time to just go for a walk and see what happens. Now when I talk about pine woodlands being not fantastic for photography, I'm referring specifically to the pine woodlands in the forestry plantations that you find in the UK. Now I'm just trying to align that so you can see what I'm talking about. When the Forestry Commission plant pine woods, it's generally for timber production long term, and they plant trees very, very close together, very uniform, and they don't make for a very characterful woodland, and that's why I find them quite poor photographically. The other thing is that pine trees, when they're planted, they turn the ground conditions very acidic, and the problem with that is that not many plants thrive in acidic environments, so you're very, very limited to the plant choices that you get within woodlands like this. I find them quite difficult to photograph personally, but there are opportunities. If you've got a wide angle lens, you can point it directly up at the canopy like that, you get everything converging, they can look quite nice. Or if you've got some misty conditions, often the uniform way that they grow can look good as abstract type shots, but not overly fantastic. You've got very, very limited opportunities beyond that, as far as I'm concerned anyway. But I'm not always right, as my partner in crime will tell me, so let's carry on and hopefully find something else. So I came across a row of European larches, and in this instance they're planted. So I came across a lovely row of European larch trees, and if you look here, these are them, 4 of them, planted really close together, typical forestry plantation. But in this instance they've got lovely mosses growing on each of the bases of the roots as they come out from the base of the trunk, and they've made this lovely repeating pattern, and it really drew my eye as I walked in. Now I've studied it, I've spent a few minutes looking at it, and the first thing I noticed was there's lots and lots of twigs fallen down from the tree, sort of scattered along the bases, and had the image been strong enough, I probably would have considered tidying those up a bit just to make the composition a bit cleaner. But having looked at it for a little while, I've come to the decision that it's really crossed that boundary line of needing too much work, not just here, but also in Lightroom and Photoshop afterwards. My ideal imagery is imagery that's created on location and not with a large percentage of it finished off in the office. So sadly, I'm going to leave that one alone. think we found an image. So about 10 minutes ago there was a huge amount of wind came, there was a big clap of thunder followed by a hailstorm, and had to take shelter in the coniferous woodland at the back there, and I kid you not, the trees were absolutely flying around. It was really quite scary. But what's happened is that's moved out, the sun's come out, and that's presenting me with potentially a nice scene that I'm going to take now. So let me walk you through the image. What I've essentially got, because the sun's now come out, all these semi-mature beech trees, it's gone off a little bit now, but the sides of them were all catching the sunlight, and I really love those strong vertical lines throughout the frame. But crucially, what's really helped this image is we've got these young saplings here, and not quite so strong now, but when I first saw it, the light was catching the leaves that are left from last autumn, that lovely rusty golden brown colour, and the light shining through them is really strong. So I've positioned my composition so this sapling here on the left hand side forms my left hand part of the frame, and then as we move through, this second sapling here, not quite so important, but bear with me, these ones over here will form my right hand side of my frame. And I know there's a lot of distance from front to back, so I've selected an aperture of f16 to hopefully take all that into consideration. I don't want to go any more than that because I'm going to lose sharpness, and we've got a lot of diffraction coming through the smaller apertures, which I'm trying to avoid. The sun's coming back out again now, and you can hopefully see the backlighting on those leaves. It's really beautiful. But had I not had the conditions that we've got now, I probably would have walked straight past this. That's what sometimes troubles me, is that I don't see images like this until the conditions present themselves. And I don't think I'm alone in that. I think that happens to a lot of us. It's difficult to try and see a scene until the conditions are just right for it. So let's get that taken, let's get it in the bag now while there's still a bit of light. I think it's a lovely image potentially. You never quite know until you get it back, but here goes. So this is the image all lined up as I've just walked you through, but I'll just quickly point out those points again. Let me brighten that up. Like I said, I've just taken the image and I took it at about that exposure you can see there, just less than one stop under, but the light's gone just at the minute, the sun's gone in, so we're losing the effect. But let me just brighten that back up to where the exposure is saying it should be. You can just see on the left hand side of the trunks the highlights just picking up there. That was happening on every one of them, and it's really nice and contrasted with the other dark parts of the trunks on the right hand side. But like I say, you've got these two saplings on the right and the left that really hold those side parts of the frame. I'm not too keen on the bottom, and I may just do a bit of dodging and burning just to take your eye away from that. Crucially, I've taken out the sky, which is really important not to have that in this instance, but a really nice pleasing scene. The main reason I've darkened it down is because the camera's being fooled. The woodland in the back is quite dark, so the camera's saying it wants to make it mid-tone grey. It wants it to be about there, but as you can see, when I put it there, it's just not having the drama that it really needs to have this sort of image. So I dialed it in, I took it down to about there, or even there, and I took the image. But a really, really nice shot, and it's really interesting to know that I probably would have missed this had we not had that ferocious wind and rain and hail come through, followed by that beautiful light. I probably would have walked straight past this scene. So I'm going to interject the video at this point because I really want to make it clear that whilst the image here is everything that I said it was on the day, and I stand by that, I have to acknowledge now on reflection that there's a lot wrong with this image as well. Now, I know there's going to be many of you that will disagree with my the way that I critique this image now, and some of you will still like it regardless. There's always going to be those people that do and always those people that don't. When I was there on the day, everything that I said was very, very true. The backlighting, the strong trunks, the shapes, everything that I saw on that afternoon was as I said it was, and I still stand by that. However, one of the things that I said earlier on in the video is about spending too much time on the computer trying to get the best out of an image when time should be spent getting the image right in the first place. This particular shot falls into that category, whereas I've had to spend far too much time trying to get something from not very much, and my mind was very, very focused at the time with the backlighting, and what I've really failed on is the composition. The composition, while again all the pieces are there that I said, this image was resulted in a very, very confusing scene, one where the eye never really settles on anything particularly, and you're constantly searching for a focal point. There is a bit of a lead-in with the trunks that set off from the sapling along to the right hand side and follow through. You could argue that that's a lead-in, but it's not really taking me anywhere. My eye's not engaging with a final resting place. The trunks themselves, again, whilst very striking, they're quite cluttered, they're quite close together, and for that I find it quite difficult to look at. We often say that what we include in a scene is just as important as what we exclude, and there are things in this image that are distracting. If you look at the sapling on the left hand side, there's some quite strong trunks behind it. There's two vertical trunks that are in the image and really have no place in the image. Similarly, you've got some lots of fallen deadwood scattered all around the forest floor, and that makes for an untidy shot. And yes, you can argue, well, that's a natural forest setting, but when we're trying to create pieces of artwork, things that we can hang on our walls, you have to question whether these things have got a place. If I was producing an image of a habitat in its natural conditions, well then yes, that would be absolutely fine. But for me, I'm not trying to do that when I'm out taking photographs. For the most part, I'm trying to create something that I would want to put on a wall. And one of the things that I often do to really seal the deal with an image is to put a mount round it, a digital mount, to see how it would look. And I've done that here, and if you look, you'll see that it really doesn't work as a final presented image with a mount and potentially a frame round it. So yes, it's everything that I said on the day, but certainly as far as I'm concerned, the image doesn't score very highly and probably won't make it into my portfolio. So without further ado, I will hand you back over to the video. So that completes my circumnavigation of this lovely big reservoir. I hope you like the image. It was certainly a hard fought one, but I think it was worthwhile. But before I go, I just wanted to quickly say the last few videos that I've done have been particularly focused on macro work, and the responses I've got on the channel for those images have been really quite good. So with that in mind, I've now got 2 workshops up and running on my website, and they are focused purely on macro work. Now, the location is a lovely patch of ancient woodland not far from where I live in Lancashire. I've put 2 dates on the website, one at the end of April and another one right at the beginning of May, so it's time to really hit that peak time for the spring flowers. So if that's something you're interested in and you want a day out, hop over to the website and get yourself booked on. So I'm going to leave it there and say thank you as always so much for watching. Really appreciate all your comments and feedback. If you're not already subscribed, don't forget to subscribe and ring that important bell for those notifications. And the last thing is, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. YouTube seems to like that bit of interaction. So until next time, bye for now.